should be played, I think. Which could have been a part of the reason why we lost. I'm not too sure. It definitely was map 5, because map 5 I mental boomed, because I was like super like uncomfortable.
That's fair enough. And Sombra's a really difficult hero as well, like conceptually as well. I wouldn't. That sounds like something that anyone would struggle with, to be honest. Let's see. Get this one in. Is this it? Yes, it is.
Yeah. So we play our Sombra on defense. This first round we don't do it. But then I don't remember why we made the call to, because we didn't talk about it. I just decided, it's like, I was going to do Tracer, and I just went, fuck, I'll do Sombra. Don't exactly remember why, but I think it has something to do with just EMP in general. I'm not too sure.
Okay, fair enough.
And like the 2 megas that we can play around defensively, but yeah.
Okay. Well, this is a good start. I'm seeing a map that you guys have played before quite a few times in other scrims, and you're mostly running mostly the same lineup, just with a new plan in motion. I get to see it now, don't I? I'm excited.
Don't watch the Hitscan, please.
Yeah, we really struggle to start off with. It takes us a while to get into the groove, just because we were so like.
Wait a minute. Wait. Wait a minute. Is this the first spot I got from you guys? From like a few weeks ago, or?
No.
This is a new one.
This is it.
Okay, wait.
Same map.
Correct me if I'm wrong. I feel bad for like genuinely asking that. I'm sorry, I'm tired. Because that looked very familiar. That initial first jump. Hey.
Yeah.
So why don't you tell me a little bit about that? What was it like going out the gates?
Somebody scouted the Lucio left, so I just said dive him straight away because he's out of position.
Yeah,
I thought we could get an instant one shot on him.
Okay.
Yeah, so just so you know too, here, Slade wasn't here for the last session. Slade's the main tank that was not here, so he's our main tank.
All right, no,
you had the sub for the first coaching session, so some main tank stuff is going to be not as rehearsed as the other rules. Just so you know. Yeah.
All right. So like, okay, no, that makes way more sense now.
Yeah, and this is total bait out there starter. This is complete bait, and if you had comms, you could hear it. I say it multiple times. Yeah. So like, a first thing, just to throw that out there to clarify, right? Because this was something that was asked even like in season 5. Lucio is kind of not an easy dive target because he kind of fast and he kind of boop, right? And it wastes a lot of the initial jump. But anyway, that being said, so this first jump, this kind of looks like 1-to-1 like the first spot I worked with you guys, but that's fair enough. We also apparently involve bubble. Wait, no, sir, this is hopefully not. Oh, it is your bubble. It's just that the colors are glitched again because Overwatch is made by a small indie company. That being said, so generally, especially in the case of dive, right, we can figure out which teams are like winning out by counting who used more cooldowns in Monopoly and who bankrupts themselves first. So we have now started off by using Matrix and Bubble on a Lucio, and hopefully we get them. We also have done this without any prior scouting, right? Because generally the idea is we would prefer to know where people are before we jump in head first, because that's usually the smart decision, right? So we're gonna go for this, and unsurprisingly, the team that is waiting on feed bridge is prepared, and they come into peel immediately after. In the end, not a huge amount of value, and there was a hack in between because I did see like the Sombra just chilling there initially, right? So you guys haven't lost out too much in the ult economy just yet. In fact, like Ghostly gets a crazy amount from it. But it was probably a little dangerous because if these guys were really clever, they would have like ignored Monkey and went for everyone here instead. Maybe even straight for Kyler or anyone below. Exactly. Yeah.
Oh, Ghostly farming out like a madman. Jeez.
Did you see how fast I die afterwards as well?
Yeah, because they kind of did what I just said, didn't I?
Exactly. Yeah.
Right, and that's why like setting up for a dive is like so important, because you need to know whether we're gonna go for a counter dive or not. Yeah, that was awkward. But let's see how it goes after that. You guys are still split. Still doing some cleanup, but we're still going. Oh, this is interesting. Okay. Let's talk about die value. Let's talk about die value with graphs for a minute, okay? So like death ball is sort of like 0 until we're actually in range of the opponent, and then it like spikes and there's like a decent amount of value, right? And like why dive beat out death ball in the first place at all was because dive is sort of like a little value, little value, little value, and then sometimes it's like spike in value, and that's when you guys, you know, jump, use your cooldowns, all that sort of thing, preferably in motion together. But it also means that you guys need that silence in between so that it's a real dive, because diving with one component or a component that has half of their cooldowns left means that there's no break in between, no heals, no state. It makes sense that we lose the diva mech at that point. And the one thing that's sort of the one person in your team that can sort of ignore this rule because of their, like, frankly speaking, mechanical prowess and decent in like games decision making, like in fights, is Ghostly, because he seems to be able to weave in and out without the initial space being bought for the tanks, and that's something you guys should really take advantage of, right? It also does make sense for you guys to play more like risky technically, because you guys are closer to the spawn, but I haven't seen a sort of rest moment at any point just yet. It seems like sort of we're pressing our cooldowns on cooldown, so to speak, especially in terms of the main core's dive. And why is that? Can anyone fill me in on what they remember about this?
Are you including me in that? The main core of the dive?
Yeah,
okay.
I mean, I guess so. It's like it depends on who's the shot caller, right? Because we talked about comm structure in our last VOD, but I didn't really get back to you guys on like what you guys decided on doing in the end, after all.
Yeah, I definitely do the moment of soft cooldown thing because I'm just very focused on getting blade. Unless there's an actual like plan made, I will just immediately focus on playing aggressive, getting my blade charge. So I would be a part of that, and that's probably why I would. But like, I don't think that's like a team thing. That's just me individually.
Sure. I don't see any problem with that at that point. I think my main question would be like, in terms of staging with the core, and when the core try to force their value in between, because the soldier has the most chill job here, right? Because the soldier is just in the background as things happen, and if anything looks juicy, he just goes, "That's mine," you know. But it's more on how the diva and Winston bounce off each other in that aspect. Do you have control in your current comm structure on how that works? Do you manage the tanks or micromanage them? That's for you, Ghostly. Because you mentioned
for me. No, I don't do.
No,
I don't do anything
how
with
does? Okay. So the jumps and all that, is that managed more by Slade then, or is it still by Kyler?
By me, usually.
Yeah, I think it's by Slade.
So ideally that's on Slade now. We've talked about it for the past I think 2 weeks now of scrims.
Right. Okay.
Does that always happen? No.
Sure.
We've that's been brought up. That's made aware to everybody that we're trying to push more of the main tank to the shot calling and dive, especially because we play it so often. The dive shot call role, and then me is more of the background echo on the things that need to be done. So we're working on that. But is it to the point where I'd like it to be? No, not at all.
Okay, no, that's fair enough, because this is like totally new, right?
Yeah, correct.
Slade, if you don't mind me asking, like, what's your sort of team experience prior to this one? Because this is a fairly new team as well, and you guys have already been popping off from what I've seen.
We've been part of a low master team, then a GM team, and then that was too much for me because I was having trouble committing, so I left and I joined this team.
And Sly and Slade have been on a team, Spoiled Milk, previous to this. Yeah, they were on Spoiled Milk together.
So would it be wrong for me to just assume that this is technically your first more committed, serious team then, really?
It's probably my least committed team.
You mean this one?
Yeah.
Your least committed team, and how does that work?
I used to be part of a like high master GM team, and they were scrimming too much, and I couldn't handle it with my work commitment, and I was just too tired all the time.
I understand that.
I left to join a lower SR team, a little bit more chill team.
Okay. What and how did the comm structure work in that lineup in comparison?
We had a really good. Our main support did all the shot calling. It was like a 4.4k shot caller.
Okay, now that does make sense because it's the main support, and like technically speaking, the overall plays can be called by the person that has the most macro understanding of a game. What you're probably experiencing here is that you're trying to pull more inherent value and give more independence to each player, right? Because shot calling can happen. I agree with that, especially in the scenario you talked about, because that was main support. That's very good. But in terms of the state of the fight and all that sort of thing, how in tune do you feel with that of late?
What do you mean, sorry?
How much control do you feel you have over the fights? Because, like, for example, like right here.
Yeah. Not much.
Not much. Why is that?
It depends on my mood. Like, sometimes I have really low energy and I just honestly don't give a fuck. That's on me. Like, I'm just trying to fix up my not being so tired all the time. But when I do have energy, then I think I can take control more. Okay.
What about this game? How are you on this game? What do you remember? How are you feeling?
I think pretty decently.
You're pretty hyped up on caffeine.
Oh, nice. That's pretty cool. I like that. It's like the alternative to permanent nano, right? It's great. So sure. This setup, the dive and the staging. What do you notice here? Like, if you are hyped at this moment, or at least you're clear for.
Gave them too much space.
Gave them
And they just allowed them to dive us, and it was just too late for the dive. Like, you can say I'm setting up the dive to high grounds, and they just took control over the space we gave them and dove our backline instead.
Hey! You're experienced. I love it. Great. So, like, let's time switch rewind. Right? Like, if you were going to stage a dive, where would you like to be?
Bridge.
You'd like to be on bridge, and you'd get more vision that way, or
top left, maybe.
Like, yeah. But these are all options for sure, 100%. Chris is great. Hey. So we got the theory down. It wasn't performed at the time, unfortunately, and now the opposing team has a extremely large alt ad, which is very unfortunate. So now let's see how you guys bounce back from this.
I think we make the call to. Oh yeah, no, we switched Kyla. Never mind. I was about to say the wrong thing. I forgot we switched Kyla. Ignore me.
Okay. Fair enough. Just a random thing in between. Since the opposing side's running Sombra, do we remember trying to get Tempo to sort of do more checks in between and not like? Because technically speaking, the best part of a diva is that it's a flipping laser. It just goes through. There are parts of maps you can actually just stand still and shoot, and like a Sombra can't walk through. It's kind of crazy.
Yeah, I do start to focus on trying to spy check a lot after we get this point.
Okay.
Wasn't doing much at the beginning here.
Understandable. Okay, so that was clear in experience, right? Because like you guys failed a couple of dives. It's down to like it's been past more than 2 minutes, and then the EMP comes in. It's pretty obvious they have EMP. You guys didn't expect that somehow, which is unfortunate. Unless you were going for a soft dive, sort of like trying to force cooldowns or something. Sorry, force ultimates rather. What on earth? Wait. There's Winston ult. Actually, this is pretty good.
Yeah, this team is very good at pressing Q altogether.
Yo, this is great.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Okay.
I think at this point we were like, guys, let's capitalize the shit on this. Like, we got 3, I think, at this point.
Right.
We just tried to capitalize on it.
Okay. I'm seeing a genuinely clear problem here that last I checked, no matter how much SR like Kyler gets, his SR isn't gonna give him an elevated boost up onto the high ground here. So when you guys exist up here, while you guys exist up here on the high ground, it's got to be for short periods of time. Otherwise, you're gonna get no burst heals because he's now on Moira instead of Ana, right? So you have like one of two options. You either put Yeet on a cart or Tempo in between fights is the one on cart because it's the safest for him to be on cart. If you put a poor Lucio or a poor Kyler, they're just gonna drop on him and it's never fun. As a little support on a cart when they're playing against a dive team. Got hacked on the way up. That's unfortunate. Wait, where is Slade? Flip me. You had a lot of coffee. You had a lot of coffee. Okay. So we're part of this fight. All the way here now. Awesome. Get the blade off too. Get through. Crazy. And you did all that without the Moira involved? You too?
He killed by support quite early, so they had no heals as well.
Because I double checked it earlier.
I killed the Moira, then me and Lucio killed the other Lucio.
So like you went off the tempo of that. That's good.
So that's just purely cleanup, I think.
Okay, so you got it. Oh, so you got the health in between. And then you're going, nope, here we go again. Here's another burst of tempo. Awesome. Yo, this is pretty hilarious. These guys got so much of an ad on you guys at the start of a game, and it just blew it all.
Yeah, correct.
Very decisive.
The Tracer got fucked.
Yes.
This is where we fuck it though. Like this, once we cap point, I think we like really struggle, and that's when we I remember what we do. I think we put and we already put the Tracer on. Yeah, I know we just got stuck here for a while.
Okay, fair enough. Oh, Ado's Pirate is watching. Hi, man. So like the opposing main tank is watching the stream.
Yeah.
So let's see. So there was a poor recontest. That was bad judgment. Sure. And now let's see how much Monopoly board do you try to control. So great cleanup. Ghostly, you have no chill, mate. That's unfortunate. That's going a little too far. Getting punished for it now. And you're petering out. Oh, okay, guys, slow down. Okay. This is great. Okay, so like I talked about that power spike and dive, right? I liked that you guys went for the chase that you did, but there has to be a realistic, break. Someone to slam the brakes, because at the end of the day, this is about map control, right? And if you lose out. Sure, maybe you have had a crazy amount of kills, but if you do not control this space, it is going to be very difficult after, especially how far the cart is, Remember, the cart technically aids you a little bit on your way out, but that's the point of it in terms of game design, to give you that healing. Okay. So we make it around here. We're taking a really long time to back up here. You're pushing and bullying as much as you can to try and get value. It feels... Okay. I have mixed feelings watching this compared to my other VODs, because you have something that a lot of teams don't, and that is just straight up decisiveness. Yep. So like the game is like moving at a way faster pace. So it's hard for me to actually tell whether you guys are going because you guys see an opportunity, or whether because, technically speaking, you feel that if you don't stop, they're going to make mistakes anyway. Which do you feel that you guys are leaning more towards? Like, personally?
I think we're the more high tempo one. I don't know.
Okay.
Yeah, I think everybody here is confident that our dive is much better than everyone else's dive.
Okay.
So we're going to push that to the extreme.
We've been streaming double shield all week, and then we realized that they wanted to play dive, and we was like, fuck it, we're just going to play dive.
Okay, that makes sense.
Like on paper, like most of the time we play, regardless of the team we're playing, our dive is better than theirs. So we're super comfortable with it, but we also get really, really aggressive.
Yeah, and that's what
to the point where it's detrimental at that point.
So we were like over aggressive going into it, and we had to make a style change. Me specifically.
Okay. So like, instead of telling you guys you're wrong because you're not, I'm gonna point out something that's really important here for you guys. So what you guys are talking about your dive is you're really, really good at realizing your opportunities and taking the tempo with it, right? That much was clear, because even when you guys ended up losing your Winston in that fight, you bullied out those two people for like the longest time, and you got like crazy value. Look at your ult charge. You're nuts right now, okay? But this is actually not good either, right? This is happening because of how much you force the fights out, but you kind of want a tempo out so that you don't actually have all six. You want to like use like two ults a fight, and that way it permanently cycles and you constantly have more value. At the end of the day, yep. Someone want to say something? No, I thought someone like took a breath to say something. But
I was
at the end,
stretching.
oh, okay, fair enough. But like, yeah, I feel energized watching you guys play. This is kind of crazy. So remember, the point, especially with like maps of verticality and the like, you want to get it all the way to the end. That much is obvious. But in between fights, you want to have control over over this area of the map, because if you guys lose the fight at all, you find yourself in the position you are now. Chasing those frags are all good and great, and using that tempo is also great. But if you don't end up holding this ground at the end of it, that means you're going way too overboard. Because first of all, technically you lost a dive or two, even though you're winning more dives than the opponent, and you're giving the opponent a chance to hold you guys out. If you believe your dive is better than theirs, why give your opponent that chance? Okay, so what do we have here? Whoa. Oh, this is very interesting. Okay, so we've got call out, which is a little difficult to get value out of because of the verticality involved here. Oof. The EMP is in between. Blade even.
Yeah, I saw that EMP and I wanted to like aggress on it because I didn't expect it because I wasn't in range.
That was just fucking 11 ults.
Okay.
Oh, we did too. I didn't even notice that. We actually all just pressed Q.
Yeah, I was about to say. Like,
You did the
We did it then,
Would that be us though, all just assuming the rest of us got hit by the EMP? So we all think we're the only one with ults, so we all just pressed it? I know that's what I was thinking.
But even if that was the case, right, like, does the vast majority of your ults save other people from EMP from a situation they're in? That's a better question I think you would be asking, right? Because like Winston won't save you if you guys are hit by an EMP. Blade kind of if you're a god, but at the same time that's not a real solution if they end up diving your team anyway, you know? And like the real only sort of let's correct the EMP value and pull a Uno no U card is your beat, right? So you're hiding for the EMP to be out first, and that's the game plan, right? And the worst possible thing that could happen is the Sombra hacks Lucio and then uses EMP. That would be the worst case scenario. You can't let that happen. Other than that, though, you guys going for your value, you can even play your dive as normal if your Lucio is never caught out by the Sombra, right? Because imagine the EMP, they start blasting over cooldowns, and then suddenly beat comes in. You guys are now on the advantage. You see? Because not only do you guys have more ults to play with and figure out which one you want to use first and kill everyone with, you also have had most of your opponent use over cooldowns because they thought they just EMP'd you guys. Unless, of course, they planned to, like, you know, that they couldn't get the beat out and they want the EMP was for beat. But that's different. That was a lot of ulting and very little setup. Okay, I need a, like, time-space rewind because you guys are nuts. So we had a Cole used top, but we had Slade here, and he even used bubble, right? Slade, what do you remember happening at this point? What was the not necessarily the game plan, but what did you see that made you decide to do what you did?
I think it was the D.Va missiles.
The D.Va missiles? Okay, that's a fair answer, I guess, because you like get a little bit of self-sustain, but
I just wanted to hold my ground and not let D.Va build me off the high grounds.
Okay, so you wanted to stay up that top right
so I was just using my bubble to win the 1v1 to force the D.Va off.
Okay. So you would be trading your bubble, which essentially is how you hard commit, for like a little bit of sustain to fight the D.Va at that time. Right, and then for the whole that time you don't have bubble, that cooldown like 10-12 seconds, you're not planning to hard engage at all. Would that be along those lines, maybe?
I would probably just YOLO and run in without bubble. We have like bait and shit.
Oh, but was that part of a plan though? Because you EMP come in.
Probably not.
Okay, fair enough.
EMP there.
Yeah, that's okay. All right, so like one of the easiest ways to figure out how much EMP the Sombra has is to sort of have a head count of how much the tanks are getting shot at. Remember, but the Sombra doesn't need to get any kills, right? and the worst part about a Sombra and why Sombra Tracer is like so awesome, I really love this composition, is that no matter how the Sombra uses her EMP, right, she gets it back super fast even when other people use their ults. Because she can be involved in the skirmishes all the time without a huge amount of risk. So EMP is going to come off almost like a cooldown in comparison. It's kind of crazy. And it's really tough to handle that unless you have a dedicated plan for it. So that YOLO strat, especially since you like to use as many ults as you did, is a little awkward because that means you're counting on two things. You're counting on one, you guys individually getting crazy amount of value, and two, your opponent being bad enough that they get confused rather than have a set plan in motion. You see? So in the case of that example, assuming that you guys knew that the opposing side had EMP, right? If you guys couldn't get enough space, maybe you could start with a Diva Bomb because that forces space inherently. If you guys can't walk to an area for free. And then you could say, at all costs, you must save beat because you know there's an EMP involved. And Coalescence would give you guys some decent leeway into a dive if necessary, right? And then like Blade will come in between depending on how things go. Beat will correct anything if the EMP is thrown in between. But long and short of it is, without that sort of even basic planning, you guys will end up all pressing Q. It is bound to happen because you guys don't know what's happening next. So we lose Sly, Ghostly gets their Lucio. The good news is that the opponent is like completely banked out on ults as well because of how they took the last fight at first. A lot of, yeah, you guys are petering out so fast. That is so unfortunate. And now we're back up on Cole. Alright, down to 1 minute. Why is it down to 1 minute? Mostly because of first point, right? Because you like lost like two, three dives out. Another thing about that tempo you guys talk about of being that decisive and high tempo, my genuine worry is that despite you guys being decisive as you are, which is like really, really good, you guys should take advantage of that. But the problem is that there definitely is a problem of pulling the reins. Because not only did you lose those fights, but you lost those fights so slowly because of how much individual value you have. You try and bolster and things take longer than they should. Oh, that's unfortunate. For Ghosty to get punished, that's not very common. But you get their sub, bro. What on earth are they doing that lets that happen?
She forgot.
Apparently, Adoze is telling me that apparently their Sombra was a sub, but didn't you have Mike or anything really? I think you're gonna lose out here. Why are we jumping up? Wait a minute. Time space rewind. So like, you guys got so well, right, for your initial tempo, especially after that first point when you figured things out. What are we doing here? What was the plan?
I knew they were down one. I wasn't expecting them to push on us. So I was just setting up for a dive and we all regrouped. I should have just pulled back a little bit.
I think the next like 10 seconds in a word is disorganization.
I think everyone was calling go high ground too.
Yeah, it really does look like it, right? Because like, here's the thing, we're not playing in a low level ranked game where if you kill one person, it means you just use all your abilities on the next person and never stop. There's an order to it. That's the reality. You'll find teams even playing in contenders trials that still haven't figured this out, especially in OCE for some reason. But that's that aside, right? Like, contesting high ground makes sense. Doing it one by one is also awkward, and committing bubble is also awkward, right? Because every time you do this, that means you're expecting to not hard commit for the next 10-12 seconds. And all of this is just to like, this doesn't really force them out of anywhere they wouldn't have gone. You force them off this bit, but you know, they're just gonna exist on high ground regardless past the doorway. And once again, your Moira cannot be involved with this unless she goes high ground, and that's awkward because of Moira's design. What are we playing? Are we playing to build alts here? Because they're farm every time you guys make a mistake like that, they're gonna farm for even more alt. Hopefully that's like you just spawned, right? Yeah, so it's not your. Oh, it is your bubble. Wait, why are we using bubbles so often?
I can't remember.
That's unfortunate. That's okay.
Was it a mispress? Because no one's even near me.
Yeah, that is a bit odd.
Probably a fat finger.
Yeah, it happens. Happens to the best of us. So the opposing side is playing way more disciplined, right? Where like they're just waiting up high ground, and you guys and their play is they either can rain down spam and like poke, but if you guys contest them and you don't do it in an orderly fashion, what you should be doing is, you know, regrouping, prepping together, clearing top so that when you guys walk through, it's easier to walk through. Yeah, seizing it from them and doing what they're doing to you guys, and then moving up. There's like a complete, like you see like if Lucio's here. Where's the rest of the team? This is completely different from what you guys are planning. And I get it, the last 3 seconds at this point, but you guys weren't in this scenario like 2 or 3 jumps ago. Like we want this to be the worst case scenario. Not how we finally get to the cart, you know? Oh, wow. Big blade. Cool.
I feel like from this point on is actually when we started playing properly. Or when things switches to Sombra.
Oh, we don't switch to Sombra yet. That's on defense. I switched to Tracer.
Well, I feel like from this point we like just kind of went a lot better.
Okay, I'll base that based on like the tank's positioning, because like how that fight ended up. Did you just squish the?
Because she had no TP at primal to get my jump back.
You know what? This is very. 100% it was good value. She was close to EMP, but holy crap, what is that? You guys are really entertaining to watch, let me give you that. Okay, so like, it's so confusing, right? Because a moment ago, the Genji was the one buying space forward, and technically 3 people were stuck to the cart like an IV drip staring at like the baby diva or something, and turning around like you guys, all 3 of you were bastions. And then another moment you get crazy stuff like this happening. This is amazing. Where's the setup though? That's the, okay, so Diva on cart makes sense, right? Because she's the least, if you leave like just a lone support on cart, they're gonna get punished immediately and they'll be forced off the cart. So sure, Diva cart. You're using ult. Where are the DPS for the minute?
Oh, I'm coming back from spawn.
Okay, fair enough. Okay.
I think Fire's on the roof.
No, I think I'm on the ship.
Yeah.
Okay.
Oh, there.
So like, as Reaper, yeah. So if you manage to get on the ship though, then probably your job is to not directly take part in these fights and slow people down, and if not straight up kill them on the way from spawn.
I think. Okay. So what happened was I went up because I saw Sombra up top, so I damaged her, and then she tried to TP out, and then Slade finished her. Yeah. So I think I was going out for more Sombra.
Okay, awesome. Same deal though, like after you've done that, then you don't drop straight down here. You give people trying to get to the point. You're the toll, okay?
Yeah, I actually learned that in one of your coaching videos with the Hitscan, but I didn't implement it. Yeah, with money.
That's alright. It takes time to implement. Everything takes time to implement. You guys have crazy value. It's so entertaining. It's like comparing like the slower, less experienced Western teams when they first played against like the Chinese or the Koreans. It's like there is no stop. There is only go and free low.
I actually messed up that Sombra.
This is good. Except maybe no. This is good. This is still good. Still really tough to make the Moira work in between, but you guys make it work. Lucio just chilling. Back to this, and you're out. You Wraith out, or no even need a Wraith? Even better. Stage again. They give you guys of his free room. Prepare for dive. Get vision. Oh, you hate to see it.
We win this fight. Do it. No, never mind. No, we don't. Sorry, I thought we were still in overtime.
What was the last beat used for again? Was it Aroa?
It was probably just used because it was overtime. It's probably like a.
Oh, right, from earlier. Okay. So like at this point, wait a minute. Wait, something. I just realized something. I need to go back to make sure I'm not full of shit. You guys stage verify. So I guess you maybe forgot about Sombra. So like all of this now, surely, is now focused on like you're gonna be building Moira ult as fast as you can, and then hiding the Moira. That must be the plan right now, right? And it looks okay. So you get crazy amount of heals. Now you gotta hide, right? Because you're not gonna counter with beat, obviously. But you guys are staging for dive. Did you guys were you focusing completely on just staging the dive here? Because it looks like it to me.
Yeah, I don't think we were looking at the beat.
I don't think we remembered.
I mean,
Yeah. Correct.
EMP.
Sometimes we forget.
This is typical, just like we went over last time. This is typical me trying to do too much. Like, you see the positioning? Do you see where I'm looking?
Right.
See how I'm looking forward? Do you see how I'm looking forward? I'm not paying attention to what's happening. I know the ults we have, but I'm looking forward, trying to see what's going on. This is the typical same bad habit that we talked about last time of trying to look forward and decide what's going to happen from here on out for this fight based on what they're doing, instead of just letting the team
like communicate
get the space we should. Get the space we should communicate to me. It's the same bad habit. Looking forward.
I really do wish we had comms for this, because when we do prepare the Sombra, I'm like yelling at the top of my voice, and it's like really fun to listen to. I think.
Like, dude, dunking on the Sombra is one of the most best things. Okay, like, trust me, I know. That's great. And Primal even Sombra attack on the Travis. Okay, that was top shit. I loved it. Oh, this is so unfortunate. Because you guys get like so distracted by this. You're like forcing down. But the thing is, you kind of don't have too much of an excuse for it, because technically speaking, remember, like this Sombra, like she's been around since the start of the map, right? But then again, maybe you don't play into Sombras too often, I guess. On top of like D.Va generally scouting for information so that Kyler doesn't have to, that I do, while I'm seeing temporal like, because I said like since this lab spot, it seems to get like crazy values, really smart player. But I don't see a lot of pressure or checking into general routes of Sombra. Do you remember taking part in that, or was it just the game too busy?
Yeah, no, this was one of the games where I just didn't spy check as much as I should have.
That's okay. Fair enough.
I think I ramped it up on Bruce, but yeah, not this one.
That's okay. Well, you guys still have forward spawn. You got 40 seconds. You got a coalescence to start with, and this could potentially still be pretty big. Since Slade was the last one to use Primal, you would probably assume that the opposing side had Primal, yes. Okay. So let's see how you stage this up. Oh, Temporal doesn't have mech yet. That's so unfortunate. They left you with that clever.
What's this Sombra?
Haven't paid attention to anything but our Sombra this map. Because it didn't have a micro headset on. If I talked about information, yeah, no, that's okay. Like here's the thing, right? Like technically speaking, Sombra's on tempo to do her job. She doesn't really need to relay onto you guys a hack or something unless you guys are staging a dive together, which doesn't need to happen because the way your ultimates have panned out, that's, even if she wasn't on comms, it's not that important. Granted, obviously she'll get more value if she did. Nice hack on the way down from the Sombra though. Oof. Big oof. We're still holding alts. Wait, what was the... Wait. Why, though?
I think they called that Winston got hacked. I think Slade said that, so then none of us pressed Q because we knew we were going to die from the bomb.
Okay. I know
that's why I didn't ult, because I saw that bomb coming out. There would have had to be something in comms.
Yeah, it probably would, which obviously I wouldn't have. But that being said, like, can you guys make it back in time in 8?
We do. I'm behind. I touch.
Yeah, we have someone behind in this push.
Okay.
Yeah. That's the only reason on this. Yeah, we knew exactly what we were doing. As shitty as it looks on film.
I made so sure like caught.
Yeah,
So,
it would have had to be in comms.
Okay, no, that was pretty cool.
Yeah.
Wait, so why are we trying to force ourselves on point then? Or was it just in case Ghostly couldn't make it?
I guess. I don't know.
Yeah.
I did say it, and I went like the 2 seconds, but yeah, probably just, you know.
Sure.
About to go over time, people don't want to see none.
Fair enough, fair enough. Oh. So wait, what was the order? So we used coal, we bombed main, so that did buy you space, technically speaking. But you also have to realize, obviously, that during the time that Diva bombs, she's not really part of the dive. That's just how it is. So now you invest beat. The Sombra ult's gonna come back, though.
The fuck did I blossom? Just a baby diva? Epic.
Good follow-up on the Winston. Nice block. Oh. No, 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 no. You guys peter out again, hopefully not. I can't believe I'm gonna say this. It's the first on the stream so far. You guys are so suffering from your success of the ability to get so much individual value. Right? And like...
Yeah, I see 9 that fight. Not too sure it mattered, but I didn't.
No, I don't...
think we had ball coming to touch, I'm not too sure. Someone was coming on the thing, but I did see 9.
No, I don't think it was that bad. I just... How do I put this? If you guys are able to pull out this much value, right? But you guys did stage.
I think that's why dive works best for us, because it's more mechanically popping off while we struggle with double shield, because we just don't work together.
I see, I see.
That's why dive's always our default, because we can get Ghostly to fucking hard carry on Genji.
I'm sorry, you both talked at the same time. Could you say that again?
You go first, Slade. I'll go next.
I said, I think, yeah, with dive we can just get Ghostly to hard carry on Genji or something.
And it does actually help. It bolsters that by involving him, like, but at the same time, but no, you do involve yourself though, like especially in the second, you do involve yourself to say, because for me to say that you didn't would be completely wrong. Very interesting. Okay, so I'll think about that first map for a bit, but while I think about that, could you tell me what was the plan for the second map? What was defense then? Because I believe you said you never ran this before.
I think at this point we just said.
Oh yeah, this was me going, fuck it, I'm just gonna try Sombra.
We've literally never touched a Sombra in a team comp since we started.
I remember here what we were gonna do is I'm like positioned on like the mega towards S1, and I think I was gonna go for like a hack on one of them, and we were gonna do the counter dive thing they did to us.
Okay, let's see.
I think something goes wrong with it. Yeah, I'm there. I think I hit someone, but I think we just don't. I don't know. I actually don't really remember how the fight went. I just remember that was the plan.
Okay.
Yeah, I get Diva, but I don't think we do anything with it.
Oh, please don't drop on and try and kill him. Do you get away with it?
I think
we do, yeah. I beat the Sombra in the 1v1.
Right, but here's the problem. Every time you kill something, it has to be like insane amounts of value. And, oh no. You do. Jesus Christ. Oh, this is so interesting. Can we get the mech back though? Okay, sorry, reset. Excuse me. You get the mech back. Here we go again. So you said something messed up.
Wasn't sure if we did. I think we did. That was me not really remembering how the fight went.
That's okay. Oh, come on. This is not legal.
Dude, Tempo's bombs are insane sometimes. Holy
That was
shit.
great.
Man's fucking season 1 poker.
He's popping really early.
Has EMP already.
So the-
Jesus Christ.
Wait a minute. Wait.
Oh, this was
Kyla's internet.
Wait a minute.
Shut up.
Wait. Question
Reported.
mark.
I just want to point out, we really, honestly, we could have held probably this first point just because we were way too aggressive for them to deal with. My internet literally has been doing this since I think the last patch, where every now and then, just every 2-3 games, 5 seconds, it just red bars and I lag out. So watch what happened after this great push. I fucking lag out and walk off the map. I go in a straight line when it happens, so I just walked off the fucking map.
Yeah, you've already done it. It skips
Not
this
your
one.
bubble. That was your bubble. Wait a minute. Okay. I mean, you're gonna get ult anyway, so you don't necessarily have to depend on having a bubble. Wait, okay. So like as much as I love watching you guys dick on these people, why this VOD again?
I think it's just because of the Sombra. Like we didn't know how to like play it both against it and how to play it ourselves. I think that's the main one.
Okay.
Lijiang, we know what the errors were. Like we can think of that for ourselves. And I don't know about the others, but personally, I didn't want to do Busan because I know like I just hard fucking mental burned. So I don't think I'll get that much value out of it. I don't know why this specifically though, but I know like that's why we didn't do the other 2 maps. So.
I feel like this map too, we were winning really like well on defense, but when we lost like a whole bunch. Like we couldn't make up for the amount of times we were playing aggressive.
Right, that makes a lot of sense because, you know, this is literally their spawn door, right? You got to temper that. Look, you guys clearly have some surprisingly really cool synergy in between on top of mechanical ability, yeah? It does confuse me a little bit because I feel like genuinely a lot of it can be optimized and you guys will get even more value when you do the things that you already do. But I still don't see breaks at any point in time. And if you're able to do this as well as you guys already do, I don't know why you would not stop, like with your crazy tempo, because if you've shown, like with no ultimates involved, that you guys get crazy value and you wipe the floor, right? So if you just do that once every time, rather than forcing out extra value at every single individual time, you guys would win because you'd never die. My question is, when do we pull back on this? Because it's really good.
I think that also our mentality is that we like to get into the enemy's team's head, so we like fucking them really hard until they kind of give up, type of thing. I don't know.
Okay, yeah, but that would work if you have an infinite supply of ammo for this to starve them out for the winter. But that's not really how it works because at the end of the day, you just gotta. It's not that once again, like it's not the playmaking ability I have issues with because frankly, it's brilliant. But let's assume you face like even one team that actually can survive a dive from you guys. Then what happens?
I think this is what happens in this game and in the series. Like they survived the dive and we get outplayed.
But
I think this is our first instance of running into that.
But my biggest frustration is that's not even what happened here, at least in my opinion, because
I mean like later on, like not specifically this fight, I meant like the series. Sorry, for warning.
Yeah, but like because we didn't pull the stops in front of their spawn door eventually, eventually we're gonna lose mech, eventually we stuff, and then like you won't have response. Granted, I guess Kyler's was like DC'd, right? So I can't really judge that. I guess that's not fair.
So you're kind of saying just trying to pull back after we've won a fight to try and let them have a bit of space and then go for another coordinated dive afterwards.
Yeah, because funnily, 100%, because you know what? That's going to win you guys more games, not because you die less. Because every time they regroup, they need time to regroup, right? But that's an objective-based game. If every time they regroup, they take time to regroup, but every time they are grouped up, you murder them anyway, you waste even more time because rather than dying individually, they take time to You shave off more time from them regrouping. Since you guys are gonna win out from them when you dive anyway, why would you lower the amount of time that they have sabotaging themselves? You know what I mean? It's kind of why, like, you see, like, in lower teams, people complain, like, why bother regrouping, because we're gonna die anyway. But that's what you can do to these people, because you guys are, like, look like you're really ahead in the dive part. Or at least in individual value, it's kind of nutty in general. I see a lot of it breaking out on the side, but it's not that bad because you're making out with it without issue. Them playing Sombra into you guys is like really educational, surely. Good hack, and then you tempo it in between. You guys didn't completely back from the fight just because you lost your tank in the front. That was great. Okay, cool. Reset, which is fine. So now we have to hold for 1 minute 40 seconds. You have beat. You know that they don't have EMP, they only just used it. So in between Ghostly, what is Ghostly's role here? Obviously the farm, which you're already ahead of for now. So where is Ghostly?
I was just playing extremely aggressive, so I've now TP'd all the way back. I was like borderline at spawn, and I do it again, and I just TP back. That's like my entire, because I don't know how to properly play Sombra, I just played like this hardly around the tanks that I could to get an EMP. So yeah, I don't know exactly what I should be doing.
Okay, I'm just gonna throw this out there. Yep, so like this, one of the things that you can do for sure 100% to get crazy value is you don't, because your team looks really, really good, right, at maintaining their bulkiness, their presence during the actual fights. Yep. You don't actually have to like come back towards the core of a team every time, because what you're essentially doing is you're playing budget soldier, aren't you? Right, except you have a teleport. And you could get more value than that even if you were to always teleport back to your team just for like some extra security, which I would recommend that you don't and you push it to the limit. Then you shouldn't be going for people head on. You should definitely be from a different angle, just in the same way that if you were to play, I guess I can't say the same way you would play Genji, because you play Genji head on. You want to create a crossfire at the very minimum, right? Yeah. And like hacks in between would just make their route. Remember, at the end of the day, you're still playing tower defense. Granted, in your case, you guys are just dropping bombards of cannonballs onto these guys, these poor guys. But you want to slow them down on their way to a point every single time they try to do it. And you need to be involved as one of the things in between, not just be a part of things of the main bulk here. That's sort of like a waste of Sombra's possible potential. Remember, like getting hacks in between not only gives chance for kills, but it like kills the opposing team's tempo.
Okay. Oh, okay. Yeah. I'll try.
Oh, wait. They get so past. No way. Nice EMP. Cool. They out-tempo you. Oh, you got the ult back in between as well. Tell me, you guys win this map overall or no?
Yeah, we do.
Yep. Okay.
I think this is actually it here. I'm not too sure if they even touch.
Okay.
They should.
I think I ult them, and then we win.
Yeah, that's probably it actually.
Fair enough.
Make my only good ult this whole map.
Okay. So the main questions were how you would run Sombra in this, and how you'd play against Sombra. Those are the main questions you said, yes? So like, the in-between parts we already know. and you guys have lost focus because you're like so focused on staging the dive, it kind of doesn't happen. In terms of you guys being held so long on first point, I think we already can like agree to that despite your amazing high tempo play style, and it's not just about play style anymore, right? Because like you have the ability to back it up, but at the end of the day, you can't only count on that, right? Because frankly speaking, if you have more to you guys, like your even something as simple as having your bubble cooldown for a lot of votes, because I see the bubble everywhere, like it's an afterthought, which is so crazy to me. Because if you can get so much as is without it, what if you had it? You'd be even crazier. EMP, cycling, ults. You win so much of these fights from pure bullying. I'm not sure how to go about that. I didn't like the poor staging in between. Your biggest strength is your tempo, but as a result, you sort of like put like resetting your what your starting phase, because this is ramp up time, right? Before you go on your tempo. Yeah, you guys need to realize when that moment is, so that you can start the gears again and then go full blast. You can't be 100 full blast all the time. That's not, unfortunately, not how the game actually does work. You'll get away with a lot of stuff, for sure. But so Slade's now in charge of those dives and that sort of thing. After you get those kills that you had, especially since like you win like 2, 3, 4, 5 kills per team fight, just stop. Let them regroup so you can have a bigger buffet, dude. Like, why not? You can stagger out kills and they present themselves to you, sure, but not enough so that you can't reset your original positioning to stage your next dive. Because I can't, frankly speaking, I'm starting to wonder whether because of your tempo, you're not bothered to stage it, because you look like you know how to stage. You do, but it looks like that's not done in between, because you just assume that you'll never be punished for it.
My ego gets the better of me.
Well, that's I mean, like, that you're being very humble now. No, you can get even more value than what you currently get, and what you get is crazy right now.
Makes sense.
Where is the other map? And let me just check the map name for you, because I said that. I remember you saying you didn't want to see one of them. Busan. So I have a map code for Busan. Was that the map you said you didn't want to look at?
Personally, I say no, but if everyone else wants to, then yeah, sure. I don't know if it's like a whole team thing.
Okay. Anything, fellas, in terms of looking at Busan?
I think Kyler wanted to watch this one. Kyler?
Okay.
Did you want to or no?
Yeah, there's a shitty part of Busan at the very beginning that I hate, but yep.
That should be all the more valuable than.
We need to watch it, yeah, but this is like, I think this is the reason we ended up losing.
I also struggle on this map with my teleport placement. On this one specifically, I know this was at least one instance from the middle of the fight, and I just teleport basically to spawn. And then I remember, like, in the moment, like, dude, fuck, we're like mid-fight, and I just dipped out.
Sure.
Yeah. Next one, me specifically, I was just like completely mental broke. This one, I think.
Unfortunate, but it does happen.
The thing I remember about this map is that Tracer just completely hard dicking on us all.
I see. Wait. So wait a minute. So you guys had so much success with getting. Why run Sombra of this part?
Because I couldn't get any value between the hacks on me, the TP out.
Oh, so it was a problem. Okay.
Yeah, the Moira, I just couldn't get out of it. That's why I was like, because like, you know, my alternative was like, okay, I'm just gonna play Tracer, but you know, it slides the Tracer by, like, you know, I'm not gonna have 2 Tracer players. I'm like, dude, I might as well just try something.
Wait a minute. Okay, but so why don't I have a VOD of you getting cucked by the Sombra? No offense.
I think that was the one we just watched. Me personally, I felt like I was not getting anywhere near as much value, especially in between the part of on attack after we captured first point and when it went overtime. In between that part, I was like really personally thinking I was getting fucked. Like, I was really struggling to get value. Apart from like the one blade I got on the 2 supports, I felt like a lot of that was more the team and me kind of being.
Okay. So
maybe that's me expecting too much for myself. Like, but I don't know. I felt like I was playing really badly on Genji. Like I couldn't
Okay. Okay, so like in terms of playing the Sombra against a Genji that essentially tries to buy his own space, it makes sense to me why that would be punishing, but I didn't see it that often when I looked at that VOD, and maybe I just didn't look closely enough. That being said, though, the fights that you lost out against, were they really because you were disabled? Because it looked like a lot of those, so that final fight, just wasn't staged, like we didn't prep for EMP a couple of times, sure. I guess technically you mirror the EMP this way. Is that what you were going for?
No, I again, that was
genuinely was from a Genji. Okay.
Yeah, that was, maybe I'm wrong. Maybe, I just interpreted the wrong way in the moment, but that's what I thought. I could be completely right. That was just like the staging.
Okay, no, that's fair enough. That's fair enough. I still do see why it would sort of counter your play style, so I understand it. Why is Kyler split? That is so annoying.
And that is the part that I fucking hate about this VOD. Yep.
Wait, so
we no, so at the very beginning, before I wish we had comms, so we had talked about, because we were playing without the Genji, like we just had the whole conversation, so you heard. Playing with the Sombra, how we knew they were going to most likely play Sombra at this point, because they were playing it as a very strong comp. So we had talked about scouting right, because that health pack, if you're playing the Sombra, is huge on the right side for just this specific map, right? It's huge to have control of that. So we had talked about scouting it. I don't know if I missed out or toned out or something, but I thought that was still happening. So if you look, I come down to still scout it, and I realize about halfway down the ramp, oh fuck, we're not doing that. But they had hard pushed the health pack.
Sure.
And they dove me. Yeah, they knew exactly what was happening. They knew I fucked up, and it ruined the entire beginning push of this.
We completely fucked up, Kyla.
Yeah.
So like, I understand, and that does happen. I don't think that's as big of a deal as what I just realized something next, because you're telling me in this VOD you're saying the Tracer fuck you guys, right? So, what you realize you guys don't actually have a dive, right? You have Reaper and Sombra, which this insinuates brawl. So you can't, because Reaper can't cover that distance easily unless you stage that well.
I think we were staging pretty well.
We were? Okay, let's look on you.
Because I almost TP every time Winston lands.
Wow, that's impressive. I'm surprised they didn't catch you up for that.
Like, not that, obviously, but like...
Yeah.
I remember Blizzard World were doing it pretty well.
Okay, so the first fight you guys lose, sure. And then like, it takes a while for a cleanup. Then you mostly like regroup together as well. Good stuff. Trying to contest this diva, it's fine. They use 2. Let's force bubble, nice. Now we don't use... So, according to math, we're like, right, so like we've already forced their cooldown, that's our advantage, let's keep it, okay? We definitely gotta get into the habit of that. Now moving forward, wait, we are on Tracer now, so we don't keep the Reaper.
Probably not, no.
Wait, so what was this about teleporting that you said earlier?
I think. Yeah. Blizzard World.
Into this one with that mentality.
Okay.
I actually don't really remember Busan that much.
Wait a minute. That looked like the opposite of staging. Or like even on this choke push. So we forced them off high ground. Right?
I think all of us or most of us just mentally died this map.
Yeah, this map is really, really bad. Super bad.
Sure. Okay. Wait. Oh, right. So we took top, and you won, right? You won this because like a lone diva made 2 people cry and decide to leave practically, right? And then you involve the Winston as well, which is perfectly fine for the most part, other than the fact they invested jump. But sure, they back off, right? Do we get their mech even? No, we don't. Okay, fine. So unfortunately, we start off with bubble. So my question now is, what's going on here? No, actually no, Sombra is safe. So Sombra can do whatever in between. Sure. And now we involve a Tracer. Why are we involving the Tracer early? Because you remember, like, Tracer needs time to set up and not waste blinks. So when the tanks go, that she can go. You're early. Unfortunately, you get hacked in between.
That's actually why I stopped playing Tracer in this whole, like, versing this team.
You think so?
Because literally their Sombra would hack me every single time.
Well, I mean, that shouldn't really be happening if you're timing things, right? Because like in a normal dive, even in a boring standard dive for like textbook, like the Winston, then the Diva, and the DPS are involved as this happens, yeah? Like there's not actually a lot of room for that.
Yeah, I was playing really bad. Like I feel like I put the whole team down this whole thing.
We're not expecting perfection. We're just trying to work on things. So that was just timing, you know? If it's something that's workable, what's the problem? We're investing a lot and playing really aggressively considering that we're only at 46%. Why is that? Okay, fine. Couple of fights in a row now. Got some ults to come in with. What's the game plan from here? You know that the opposing side will have EMP by now. So you're gonna farm for Lucio, not let Moira get as much heals in if possible, and not do this. Like, right, because this is literally, once again, right? Like, this is exactly what they want to play into. You guys wasting your cooldowns for nothing. Granted, he does the same thing, and that's hilarious. Oh?
What the fuck did I just do?
Nice ult. And then they very EMP use late. So yeah, it's quite common when you're playing like Mirror Sombras that like whoever EMPs late gets better value. It's kind of like Coalescence in that way as well.
Yeah, unfortunately that dicks me later on.
That is unfortunate, but you guys win out overall regardless though. So you guys can set up for stage, good. So you play high ground at first, and now Tracer needs to stop frontlining and start playing for like to bully, waste cooldowns on their way out. Remember, we want to bankrupt the opponent, not take fights. That's not really the goal. Same deal will be for Sombra.
I think I was just farming ult.
Yeah, but why farm from the front? I mean, they're gonna look at you in Matrix, right?
Yeah, that's why I blinked straight out. I thought I could just get a sneaky charge.
Okay. So someone taps point, and everyone turns. Why? Wait, you're giving up all this ground. Guys. Wait, you had all this.
That's actually pretty scary looking at that.
No. Please tell me that gets nothing. Okay, thank God. And it's important to look at these, right? Because like you're telling me this is a bad game, but I don't really think you could have told me exactly why and when. If you didn't actually look at it. So you, in this staging, remember, maintain your presence, which is the patch that you are sort of weak on Gibraltar as well. You're good at it in bursts because you may have what I like to call in my other lineup that's like way lower SR than you guys. Apparently they get like really smart and do all the things that are very optimal, but only when the game's in overtime. So you guys might have it the other way around. So like when you guys have tempo, you realize, okay, these are the right things that to do in the right order. But since you don't do it on a normal basis, it doesn't pop to mind as a habit. Good stuff. Good punish. Kept the point really well. Awesome. Restage. Assuming that doesn't jump the wave. I have no idea what's been going with VODs in the last few days. Watching this makes you want to play again? I'm glad. Overwatch is a fun game.
Don't lie to your audience, bro. Come on.
It's actually clickbait.
Look, dude, I told you, I have an individual solo hero account for every hero in the game. If you think I hate the game and I'm able to do that, unlikely.
Actually, Rich.
And it's a Sombra too. Come on, we can just scare her off.
Yeah, we all fucking. That's a huge throw from us.
I mean, you win out in the end. Good beat. It does mean that you're literally counting on like not using beat to survive EMP though. Granted, I know, but it was like a bomb thrown in between. But if you guys
EMP like the bomb, like deliberately.
EMP the bomb?
Because you know how like if you do it like the right exact moment, you can actually like save your team from the bomb with beat. Sorry, I meant beat, not EMP.
Oh, okay. No, yeah.
Like meant to do that, if that was.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, it looked like that was meant to be.
Yeah.
That's sick, dude.
It looked really good. But then for that reason, you need to like play to force Sombra out. If that's the case. And it's like it's much harder to do now with like the Sombra translocator changes. But if you can like find space in between fights, you should be doing it. Did they out-tempo you guys?
I got hacked, so I guess so, yeah.
They got the hack off.
Wait, are we blue? Okay, yeah.
Yeah, we blew our loads.
This EMP coming up crushes me.
Yeah, that is unfortunate. Oh. So very unfortunate. Okay. So like in terms of playing into Sombra, it is a habit to sort of like cancel her hack, and I guess that you guys aren't very used to that. You do have like portions of that makes it very easy though. Like you have Moira, you have burst fire weapons, and you also have Diva, right? But even then, that's not always going to be possible. Like a hack being snuck in between dives and stuff, that makes sense. What I didn't like was up until that point when you guys got the hacked, right? Even when you did get hacked, they controlled this much of the map, and you had no options in comparison, right? Because they can duck in and out of this cover, whereas for you, like at this point, it was on their way out. So somehow they managed to bully you guys out.
How did that happen, actually?
Yeah, we can find out.
So I missed that part. So that's something I actually know. It's like, why are we fighting here?
It's because you guys don't pull the brakes. It's actually a little harder to see when the point in which the path of no return has gone. And like I said, like there's nothing wrong with being able to pull off that tempo. It's impressive, to say the least. But it has to be tempered. Otherwise, like as you guys experience, it won't last forever. You will face a team that will survive it.
Correct.
So it was way before this, then definitely. Still a bit more. I just wish it would stop teleporting. Thank you so much for the follow, Paz. Okay. There we go. So this was right before, so this was after the bomb, all that stuff in between. Really fancy, sure.
So I think we were just AFKing now.
Yeah, kind of, because they're not set up. And then all this dive on the Sombra again. Right? Like we can't hard focus that. That's kind of what she wants you to do. She wants you to stare at her. So that happens, and now we have little control. A Doze jumps, which should be a call to punish this dude. Actually, let's see how it works out for him. Does he play cover? No, he plays top. It's clever.
And then I tried to. I remember watching that.
Yeah, but you wouldn't be able to stop this because it's too late. Right, and you see how like it's so important to realize this, yeah? Because you don't lose fights on the spot in the middle, and like you got out tempoed, right? That's not what happened. You guys got out positioned way, like I had to go back like 1 minute to find out, right?
So how do we, when that happens, because technically speaking, I can handle that when they do that because I have Moira.
Correct.
It's in the meta with the Sombra right now. How do I make that known without pulling back anyone else? Because I can toss the E out and then shift if need be to survive that stupid Sombra pushing the backline thing, where no one needs to dive. So how can we make that clear without anybody diving? Because that's what just happened, right? Like I'm in the very back, Sombra's there, I call it, everyone dives, but how can we make that very clear and like abundantly clear that, hey, you don't need to focus, she's here, but I can live.
And it's actually a really easy answer to that, and I partly answered it in like a previous VOD, right? Whereas like, because at the end of the day, no matter how fast your tempo guys is, there are standard places to set up. So like, for example, if your Winston and D.Va are going to be set up here, and so that you can keep all this space, it makes more sense to position yourself somewhat close so that you have the option to burst heal them when they drop. Why does that matter? Because that makes you more present and available for like not only someone to help you or people to drop, because you're running. Yeah, exactly. Like, you're like more elusive. Is you have the option to leave if you have to. Positioning yourself closer, or positioning yourself, because closer means there's options for not only Tracer, even for the D.Va to be involved. You know, even if you were to get hacked, you'd be fine, because your team is so close and they're ready to drop onto your opponent as they jump in. And if the opposing side is dumb, then they'll like try to jump your backline kind of, but then your team would just aggress into the rest of what's left, right? So instead of counter diving, it's literally just drop. And that's why the high ground advantage is not just generic, hey, take high ground for head. It literally gives you guys a consistent strategic advantage over your opponent, so for you guys to choose when to take the fight. You being here essentially means you're standing here in the open. Look at the amount of angles anyone can shoot you for that, even if they were a Hitscan player, right? That's sort of how you can treat the Sombra. Like, imagine if the Sombra was always has high noon, where are you standing? You'd stand differently if the Sombra was like a permanently high nooning McCree, because you'd be playing for cover more. The team's positioning dictates where you are as a Moira. That's kind of why you're there.
Yeah.
For that reason, if that's not planned in advance, which you said, you know, I haven't worked with Slade just yet, you're not going to be in an easy position because that's just not planned out. You can tell your team to trust you and not peel for you, but if that didn't work out, then like in the heat of them, they obviously don't have confidence in that plan.
Oh, Sombra got hacked at 99. That's unlucky.
Yeah.
But was it really though?
Because we allowed that to happen because of how.
Yeah. Yeah.
Unlucky that
Unlucky that it happened, not that we can control it.
Yeah, I get that. So what I'm saying is, remember all those last maps, especially Gibraltar, like where you guys like out-tempoed your opponent and sort of didn't care? Remember when, like, literally, I even saw so many times in the earlier VOD, I saw Slade like hacked, and he like keeps moving forward anyway. And by the time the hack is over, he just primals and they all go, wait, shit, right? Like that happened to not just Slade, but like to a lot of you guys. And you're telling me you don't want to watch this map because you guys didn't feel confident about it? It really shows in your play, right? Because here's the thing: I'm glad we get to look at this map now, because it shows that you guys like shrank in your positioning. You guys should be still playing forward to keep the space, even in the case of being hacked. You know, you let the behavior change.
Yeah.
If you can't counter something, I get it. That's a problem. But instead of trying, but what you guys thought was a solution was involve everyone in the problem, which is why you're always diving back to this one Sombra. You didn't do that in previous maps, did you? You didn't.
No.
So this changed mid-tournament or whatever. And this is literally the downfall here for this map, because you lost so much map control. It's really important to keep this.
Yeah. Yeah, great point.
What happened to Slade before the jump? Oh.
Killed him more than I just tried touching.
Fair enough.
Sombra, not Moira.
Okay, is there? Let's go.
Like here, we should technically win this. Like
No, we don't.
I know we don't, but we should technically, looking at it, if we're smart, we win this because we have the initial EMP.
Right.
We should have won this.
Yeah, we forgot they had EMP, so he fucking EMPs my EMP, and we lose.
Yeah.
We just completely forgot to do it. Look out for it.
Even without that though, did you guys decide who would tap first? Do you guys have an order?
I was on point.
I think so. Yeah. No, we're pretty good about orders. We're like really we're really good about recontesting and stuff like that. Actually.
Awesome.
Yeah.
So someone else is gonna retap.
Yeah, we're really good at contesting.
Wow.
For sure. Yeah.
You even got the call out in between.
Yeah.
Focused on that. Diva, no, like that was tough. That was really tough, especially since like you guys got out tempoed, right? Look, here's the real talk, right? The reality of King of a Hill is you only get 2 or 3 real fights. That's why like the beginning ones are so decisive, you know. When if your opponent caps like at about 86-ish%, and you guys are wiped, usually you're not going to make it back in time. So you want to prevent that from happening. Okay. Let's see how you stage again. Oh, you guys went for a completely different comp now.
In Mecha, we always run like the old meta, double shields with the Doom Reaper.
Okay.
Prefer to do that on control for the Lijiang. That goat's a really good one.
Okay. All the more reason why I'm glad I get to look at this VOD, because if you ever run this again, and you can, yeah, you're making the biggest mistake. Slade, looking at this now, what is the biggest strength of this comp on how they?
What comp? Their comp or our comp?
Your comp.
The brawl.
Yeah, the brawl aspect of it. Map control, there we go. But what kind, this is a completely open first point. No one needs to be here by default, yeah? The opposing side's dive. You guys play for like close contest and range, so all they can do is drop on you. You know, if you want to play this double shield, especially since you're involving the Lucio, yeah? You need to take the fight to them, not the other way around. Okay, there's going to be rotations involved with this, sort of like how you play goats, where if you were play goats into dive, remember that time? Was anyone involved in Overwatch around that time? And that time, yeah, exactly, because like goat, you don't have the range to handle anything, yeah? And here you don't as well.
I feel like we really struggle with rotations. I think
now on the point that went over time. Oh wait, but if you play in there and they're dumb enough to actually contest that, hopefully, no, Slade, come back.
I think we called that too, but then we went out of the area.
Okay, that's unfortunate. Remember, like, being on the control point first is rarely that important. It's more important that you win the first overall fight. We can give them 10%, 20% even, I don't care, as long as you win it, because you get the map control again. If you only get 2 or 3 fights every King of a Hill, you want to prioritize winning them over point control. Because if you win overall after they get a little bit of point control first, it means you get to hold that part of the map better. That was an interesting dive. You like lose Kyler in between?
Correct.
Okay.
All right.
What was the
fight done? Can we go back to where like the original fight starts just to see, am I doing something wrong at that point on Moira? Like Moira's the best choice. Yeah, back at the beginning of the fight. Can we go back like 20 seconds?
Yeah, sure. Yeah. I'll go back a bit more than that actually, because I think it decides how you set up. Because like I have huge problems with the order that you guys took on that dive anyway.
Yeah, same. Because all of the maps before this one had a really like shit feel to it.
Right, and
which never happens. Like with us, we have a good feel.
Sure.
But this map had a real bad feel, so I'm wondering, is there like a fundamental issue that we're missing on the map, maybe? So like, first of all, you start without your Reaper, and that's awkward because this is not even a real dive without the DPS components normally, yeah? Because you force out value, you take some map control, and then like when a good chance presents itself, that's when you really commit the jumps, you know? From like both D.Va, Winston, Etika, because like on their way out, especially what you'll notice as a D.Va player when you play against better Sombras, on your way out of dives, you get hacked. That sucks. That sucks a lot. I had a hard time on that one, believe me.
Yeah.
Okay, so what made us do this first jump because we saw Baby Diva, I guess. But we don't have a DPS setup. So what you did next, so like where's Moira? Moira is back there, which makes sense. I guess you can keep up.
Yep. I think this was one of the lack of actually talking about what we're doing plays.
I think we just lack.
Yeah.
I'm not even in the fight.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because for this specific like match, I think we definitely weren't communicating well enough, like as we usually do.
Nice boop. Okay. This habit of like dive in blindly and use bubble immediately, we gotta break that.
I don't think he's using it immediately. I think he's using it off the other Winston. Because other Winston's always popping it first before he does. I think he's trying to even the fight out. That's why Slade bubbles. Like, only after he bubbles.
I don't know. Honestly, I haven't... Prior to the scrim, I haven't really played... Well, he's almost played hero, but I was out of practice with Winston. This I've just been grinding Orisa.
Fair enough. Okay.
So now I need to be more disciplined with my cooldowns.
Yeah. I mean, that's like part of the game, really, unfortunately. So that was a kind of creative way to stage, actually. Wait, this is pretty awesome. Okay. But wait a minute. What about the sum check? Oh.
Poor Kyla.
You might have, I'm surely. Because they're so split, despite that EMP. They beat in between, so you guys peter out, I would assume. You know what? As crazy as it may sound, I genuinely think you got more value from the Genji.
I probably did. I don't know why I was playing Doomfist. I was just, at that point, I just went, I'm just going to one-punch forehead, because I didn't know what to do.
Right.
Maybe in retrospect from what you're saying, I probably was mistaking the Genji for, like, that being the issue as, like, our staging.
Because like, in terms of when you guys want to set up what you do, it's actually beautiful, right? Like, it's kind of cool. But I think the overall theme in between is a lack of discipline for the staging, and like since in a tournament format, yeah, you guys like, it wasn't just that you stopped playing Genji, even the behavior of how you guys held parts of the map changed, right? In terms of when to pull back, because I remember like I questioned Slade at the start of his thought. And you clearly like displayed the correct knowledge of what's a good stage. Yeah, I highly doubt that's a problem with you guys. But maybe because have you worked on a session with Slade before where you looked at the maps and just decided where your holds?
No.
No,
We haven't done that yet.
You probably start doing that, because that would imagine. Funnily, and this might sound like insane, guys, but imagine if you guys are really good at the game. Wait a minute, you are, and you planned what you wanted to do at the same time. What? I think you'll take some wins, hey, like even more, because like it's crazy. What you guys get individually, the value you guys get, especially like watching a Genji earlier, like among upper parts, and you primaling a Sombra out of existence and all the stuff in between, good bombs, good stuff. That would solve a lot of your hiccups in between fights for sure. Yep, definitely start with that. And I really look forward to seeing how you work with your main roster now that Slade is involved in this, because the tempo dives in between is really good. Now knowing that pulling back is actually part of the game, and not only is it not just because you're scared of dying, because it's not that. You guys are clearly not afraid of dying ever. It's about getting your opponent to help you guys waste more time on their end by attempting to regroup, and you guys win anyway.
How do we go about setting up the maps? Do we just all jump in a call and then just plan? Like,
yeah.
Do you have like steps on like that? Because I feel like we just shit talk half the time.
Totally fair. So like what I have here is Stat Banana, and it's unfortunately like it's a subscription based, so you wouldn't be using this. But what I've linked to you guys, or at least I think I have, is
you guys did.
Yeah. So I've given you guys all of these map images in HD already, which you guys can use. And you don't have to, like I said, you don't need the software to do all this drawing, because what I use on my stream all the time, this Epic Pen, it's free. So you can just pull this up, use Epic Pen, and have no issues, you know? It's about the same for your scenario about what you guys want out of the program. Staging the dive is part of your knowledge. Having a plan is not just about being disciplined for the fun of it. It also means that your other parts of it, so let's say, even if just by setting up the tank's position, your supports now know, okay, I know where I can go using my knowledge as a support player that will help this player. And the best part about that is that there's less counter calling with a lot of teams, especially when they're first starting out, because they all have different ideas, because now they know what the other player is doing. And if any of you guys die and the plan doesn't work, it's even better, because now the other players on the team knew what was supposed to happen, and now that this part's missing, okay, from my knowledge, what do I do next? Right? If that, and can their original dive, for example, if this was going to be a drop down, as crazy as it sounds on this part of the map, if you don't have the Winston up there, can you guys still do it? Right, the rest of your team can go, wait, I think we have one more extra ult. I still have Blade. I think we can still do it, even though like we lost something out of a surprise. If you lose like Diva, when you guys were planning to do an EMP bomb, obviously that plan can't work out anymore, and you guys would back up instead of staying, right?
Mm-hmm.
Just some things to consider.
Yeah.
I have a question, if you don't mind.
Go for it.
It's what I probably struggle the most with the dive comps.
Mm-hmm.
Is what, like, how, I know this is gonna sound fucking stupid, but like, how do you dive when, say, their team comp is like Monkey, Bull, Pharah, Tracer, Lucio, Mercy, say something stupid like that? Like,
oh, that's a very good question.
Yeah, if they're if they're so split, how, because if I dive the Monkey, he's gonna jump away and I'm gonna be out of position. If I dive the Lucio, that's impossible. Like, how do you dive if there's no dive ball? If they're all split, do we just do map control, or like, I don't know how to engage a fight?
The funny thing is, you are correct. You are playing for map control because the best value of dive is in bursts, right? So which means, technically speaking, what's supposed to happen in dive is a lot of nothing. You guys are doing a lot of nothing in between until you guys hard commit. So map control is one part of it, but the other part of it that's really cool is you get to bankrupt your opponent. So while this is literally like the 5-head, why people always say like tanks are 5-head, right? So like while you guys are like moving around the map and all the players watching that are like goal are like, wait, your guys are doing nothing, it's actually because you're fighting for space. And what happens is, as you fight for space, one of the things will happen. One of them is that one side will use more cooldowns than the other, right? I literally just did like an analysis of a contenders team. All right, where like you can tell which side is winning, even though no kills were traded, by which side has less cooldowns than the other. Yep. So let's say you as Winston never use bubble, the opposing Winston always uses bubble and wastes it, right? Then when you guys fight each other, even if there's no real diveable, you guys have a bubble, they don't. You obviously mathematically have more than the opponent out of value, let alone your mechanical skill. Who should you be diving in that case? If you just want to control the map, and in the case of King of a Hill, like the point itself.
Yeah, like probably my biggest example is probably the map I struggle with the most. If they have, say, gardens.
Okay, yeah, sure. Let's use that.
Yeah, if they have a pharmacy on gardens, how do I engage a fight if they have a Pharah, a Tracer?
That's a very good question.
Walk on point as Winston with like a speed boost or something. Walk into the tanks line.
So like here.
Yeah, like. So they have map control, we're regrouping, they have pharmacy, tracer, dive, tanks.
Okay. No, I think that's a really good question, right? So like, that's the thing. So you're not fighting to just be on the point for the sake of it, because what happens, as you already know, is if you go on the point...
They'll just barrage us and kill us all.
Correct, and they shoot from the window, it sucks. So the amount of time you actually want to spend on the point is very minimal. Right? You want to win out the fights so that they control less of the map space. So you're going to be fighting, and what will end up happening is if you as a team use less cooldowns, they have no choice but to give more space to you. Right? And after this is won, and maybe you even get some kills, then you go for the point, but they never stay on the point after that. Because what's different about dive compared to like any death ball is death ball threatens space by physically being there. right? And you'll see like a lot of Ryan players that struggle to play Winston as a result because of this. Because Ryan exists in a place physically there and taking chunks of damage, and that's how he buys space from a team, right? But dive tanks are different. Dive tanks are similar to like flying roadhogs. I'm not even joking, because what ends up happening is they threaten the space that they can potentially go to. In the same way, like if your roadhog has hook, you wouldn't walk in that space because he has hook. Dive tanks have jump. So you wouldn't go in that space for free, or do it. If you did, you would be very careful if you did. So you don't need to exist physically in that space to contest it, not always. The threat of it after you've secured it is good enough, because you had potentially go for it, and while the DPS try to force cooldowns, let's say like you're running Tracer Genji, whatever, and then let's say you kill a Sombra, or like Ana, you force out sleep and nade from Ana, then you go, hey, let's go. Makes sense, right? Why go early otherwise? Because like combined with the fact that you bankrupt your opponent and then you guys are really, really crazy with your mechanical skill, why wouldn't you take that free win?
What's if the pharmacy is like their carry? So like sometimes we go to natural cover because we think that's the only way to win against an insane like pharmacy.
Isn't that just to rush onto their team fast and the pharmacy can...
There you go. Someone's got the right mind to it. The reality is a pharmacy, when you invest pharmacy, you pull 2 players. So it's always a 5v4 for you guys. Yeah, assuming you don't want to directly contest the pharmacy by playing a Hitscan or direct anyone to focusing on doing that, you should be winning out the bottom fights in between. Because it takes a while for the Pharah to get value, especially in between, like, if you think about it, the barriers, the matrix, all that sort of thing. The Pharah takes a while to ramp up her barrage. She should do. Okay. Unless you guys are doubting yourselves, because you guys have this crazy thing that a lot of teams don't, and that's like that decisiveness, right, on execution. Whereas a lot of teams struggle waiting, and waste a lot of time in between. You guys have the ability, or at least the experience, to go, when we say go, we mean go. That should out-tempo a Pharah easily.
Okay, I've noticed something that our team does. So, like the same thing, right? The Pharah's doing the carry, and we're trying to win the front line because we're up in numbers. I feel like the Tracer goes on point, and we do that thing that we do when we see a Sombra going to point. Yeah, we go straight back to the point, and then we stay natural cover, getting fucked from now the choke and from the Pharah. And that's happened a couple times on this map that we just like we kind of split.
You give up control.
Yeah, like some of us are trying to like help like the Trace in the back, like kill them while we're losing the front, and then we're also losing the Pharah.
I'm just gonna throw this out there because you guys do have a Hitscan player, and this doesn't have to be Soldier, it can be McCree or Widow or whatever, but I'm just gonna throw this other option for you guys just to give you guys more value for this. But the point is that what you mentioned about like playing in cover, yes, after you seize control, yes, it makes sense to play out of cover to not let the Pharah like farm for you guys, like farm ultimate, obviously, but you want to play out somewhat out of cover, but maintain the space that you hold in the places that you do decide that's where you want to hold. Okay, so like in these examples I'm just giving for like Tracer and Winston, remember threatening the space, Etika. And then like the best part about Tracer is you kind of don't need to care. If you involve a hit scan, however, the hit scan, generally speaking, is always going the other angle that the main team does not. And that's the cool thing, because Pharah, a smart tournament Pharah, will not just exist wherever the team is. She will exist in the exact count, like if you think of the point as a clock, whatever side their team on, she'll be on the other to cover it to create this crossfire, right? And she can just use literally the pagoda map, and this is what I've been running through my other teams with, so that she can exist. And not only will she be like she will be contested less often. The way she gets value is much easier because she's uncontestable for the most part until you involve a hit scan that basically will be playing the dance of like copying the counterclockwise rotation that the Pharah does. So this is what I call dynamic rotations. Wherever the Pharah goes, you want to involve yourself so that she's either involved in the main fight and actually makes it easier for your team to be involved, and she'll like run out of jet boosters sometimes, even closer to the team. But also you want to give her like less options,
Right.
So that's if you decide to include a hit scan. You always want to force the Pharah away, but the dive tank, where you guys hold as a result, for people who aren't Hitscan, you want to be not in the same position where Farah already exists. But if she does already exist wherever core of a team is, they've already made the mistake. You guys win out.
Yep. So even that being said, as a team that's not super conventional with like communication, right? With me being shot calling from aim support and stuff. How do we adapt to that? Like being able to say like, okay, our hit scan's doing that. He calls that. We recognize it. We react to that with our shot caller doing this. Like, you know what I mean? Like how do we branch off into getting to the point where our shots are being called correctly and our communications being done thoroughly by the roles that it should be?
Right, and that's another excellent question. So,
because I feel like if we get to that, we're much better, right?
Yeah, 100%. And what you'll notice is that requires a lot of you each individually to have an actual understanding of a game, rather than one person shot calls as things turn out the way they do, right? And did you know that like even in Overwatch League supposedly, and some other contender teams right now, they've reverted to like once a week. There's like one VOD for like each player, and then one team VOD at the end for 45 minutes, and compared to like before where like there would be like 6 to 8 hours of sort of team VODs.
Yeah.
And that's because like individually you guys need to know your roles better, and this is not something that every team does. I know that Toronto Defiant does it as well, among others, but the point is that like it's so that way knowing your individual role results in a lot less confusion and it's much easier to adapt. So when you're running these sessions with me in this example, say like even this map, yeah, because like I did an analysis for a contender team just for this map alone. Think about that, right? Where you will be able to know what your opponent runs, and you guys need to adapt accordingly, right? Because if you guys walk way out of spawn and you realize that they're running as far a comp, and if you from your practice guys know you can't win without a hit scan, which is not necessarily true, but it could be in the case of your team, then if you have any lag time in that, knowing that King of Hill is only 2 to 3 fights, too slow. Definitely too slow for you guys to adapt. You guys need to know what's out there. I'm willing to help with that. That's why you're having these sessions. And I will define your role, but also in between scrims and matches, you guys have to actually plan out so that when one component fails, or even if it doesn't, you guys know where the other is positioning, or if you see what they're positioning, you know what they're going for. You can't just play the game constantly and expect no different results, even if you're playing against other teams that don't prepare. You'll have an advantage anyway.
Yeah, correct, yeah.
Does that answer the question? Did I miss a part in that? Because I went for a fair bit there. Getting tired, my bad.
I think you definitely answered mine.
Totally understand.
Okay, awesome.
Yeah, it just, because again, like we just went over it again, but one of the parts that's been really hard for me, like trying to even get around, is that we all make really good individual decisions. We make very good situational Overwatch decisions, right? With pressuring and doing these great plays, but it's really hard to get that shot calling. Here's who makes the decisions. Yeah, that person.
Okay.
It's so hard to get that, because that's where we mess up every time. If you look at the films, that's where we mess up. We start losing when that happens, when everything starts getting all foggy and oh shit, what are we doing? We're dumping ults. We're making bad decisions. We're jumping too far forward. That's when everything starts going bad.
And I guess that's kind of why you keep bringing out like that shot calling part, right? Like remember that shot calling, it is left always to the person who has the most macro understanding of the game, right? And I did tell you to pull it away from your role specifically because you're aim support and the support heroes you play, but it's not done before. Let me just point that out, okay? It has been done before, but if you compromise your position doing it, there's something very wrong with that. That's kind of why everyone needs to get on the page way more for scouting. Get this stuff done pre-scrims, pre-matches, so that there's less confusion, right? And then don't forget, this preparation is not only for where you guys stand, right? But you're not going to tell me you have no idea what compositions your opponents will ever run, because you just gave me an example of Ball, Diva, Pharah, whatever. That's an annoying comp to play against. But rather than throwing the VOD away and saying that was cheese or something, having something to play against that probably would be a good start. And if it doesn't work, fine, you can show it to me and I can tell you why it didn't work or whether you guys did pretty well anyway, right? How many times have you played into a comp trying to counter it in advance.
Legit, every single team I've been against, we've always lost to Pharmacy. Every single team.
Okay, that's totally fair. Then probably it's a decent idea to change that, you know? And remember, it doesn't have to be super fancy, like you have to come up with the most 5-head thing. You could be something as simple as learning to mirror them, but doing it better.
Yeah.
And once again, I'm also available for that too. Like I worked on a team that's mostly plats and diamonds, and they play against Peak Master GM teams for funsies, and they don't do too bad.
Right, plat team competing against GM teams?
Yeah.
Fair enough.
Factual, because like at the end of the day, the rank, the SR does not teach a Pharah how to play a tournament stand up Pharah that uses LOS like a true like a really good player. I can, without giving names, there are like tons of Pharahs in OCE alone that are like high masters. Their use of line of sight is like fairly atrocious because they don't have the tournament experience that like you realize not being in line of sight at all in period of all times, you'll be punished for it at higher level.
Amen.
Am I from Singapore? No, I'm not from Singapore. I was born in Taiwan. I've been traveling a lot, and I ended up here in Australia for a small bit. And I'm hopefully going to stay here and become a teacher full time. Anyways, that being said, but yeah, so the point I was making with the Pharah comment was that I worked with a Pharah who was plat, and he played into GM Pharahs. And in fact, the GM hit and like High Master hit scans, and they have no idea why they can't hit him, but he gets permanent value for the whole game. There's like a lot of stuff you can do, and that's sort of what, so the team VODs is for the macro, to help you guys work better, but if you want to optimize stuff or like doing playstyle, that sort of thing, that's probably going to be for your individual coaching. That's quite a lot for one day, fellas. What's on your mind? Just digesting, I guess?
Yeah.
Yeah, I've come away with completely different perspectives than I thought I would. Going into it, like the whole, like, you know, staging and, you know, maybe I could have run the Genji. So, like, what I was personally coming from, Yeah, and I'm like glad that you just, like, kind of don't want to bad VOD, but you went with it in the end, because at the end of the day, if you had all the cards down, you wouldn't need me, would you? Right? Like, might as well make use of it. I'm around. So but yeah, you guys have crazy strength for Genji. That much is obvious. You take huge amounts of spaces on your own. The bullying is super strong, super great. Temper it, and you get free extra value. Except you never die, and you get to spawn count them from the beginning to the end of the map. That's what I'm seeing against this team especially. Forgetting the Sombra in between, that's happened a little too often. We can put D.Va more on priority to sort of not just scout for that, but also like stop hacks in between, because there's a decent amount of time to react to it now, especially compared to before. But in general, I would recommend that you guys probably try not to pull out compositions that you haven't practiced before. You guys are so good at one thing, you have a backup, sure. But now that you guys are heading towards the direction of, you know, like a practically, you know, professional standard team of getting your stuff done pre-match, you'll have a lot of bases covered just from that. You will also find moments where you're like, okay, I planned that in my head, but I actually disagree with my other person on my team who has this role, because our ideas don't match up, and like I'm also around for that intervention because I can tell you what's good about both, rather than tell you only do this, because that's not my job. As far as I'm concerned, if you can make it all the way to the end of even flipping contenders by running the Genji and making people cry, I say do it because it's funny. Dude, I'd be down.
Like you imagine like winning everything with just diving on people.
Oh, that'd be
So you're saying we should come and dive on trick?
Yeah.
Like here's the thing. That's Clockwork Vendetta, right? They got a bunch of players who are like really good at their individual roles, realize that there's a way to make them to work together, but they don't. But it's all still about individual value. Doesn't this sound familiar on playstyles? Get some gears turning. But at the end of the day, not every team has structure. Most teams don't have structure. Thank you so much for the sub, Jasper. Long time no see. But yes, just getting that structure out of there, you'll accomplish way more than what you're doing now, especially with the amount of value you get as is. It's kind of crazy. Thanks again for another sub, Kyler. Really appreciate it. But CV just disbanded. Feels bad. Why did he disband? Jasper, why? You got the dives up. You had that double shield, but in an open map, right? Good stuff, good stuff. I think I was originally going to question the Moira decision, right? Because I think you can still run Ana and get even more value.
Ana was banned, I'm pretty sure.
No, it wasn't.
No, she played Ana at the start.
Oh yeah,
Because like imagine like in the middle, so like you get hacked in between and then you get Nano to survive and all that sort of thing, and then the cycle's out. The main reason I like Ana personally is not even so much because of Nano Blade or all that, because frankly I find Nano Blade boring, but Nano in between means the whole team gets ults faster, right? If you can get that to work by, you know, staging your dives, and more importantly the stuff in between fights, scouting, that's also like a huge weak point I'm noticing in between, because fast tempo doesn't replace checking corners, even like it's like CSGO logic practically, right? Clearing areas before you head out, doing it systematically. If you just apply your tempo while you're doing that, they won't know what to do, man. If you cleared that top high ground on Gibraltar like super quick before and they only have like 2 or 3 members up there, that's that's free low, and then you go on the rest of them and then you don't stop. You're just missing steps in between is my main takeaway for you guys.
Well, goes my internet.
Awesome.
Yeah, sorry about that. My internet just did the thing again.
All good, man. Happens to the best of us. Mini-me cites Val taking players away in the games in a bad state. Oh, feels bad, man.
Val from Micro. You're not poaching anyone, Micro, right?
I think I'm not really sure if that's about Valor or something else. But anyway.
Okay.
Is what it is. And just like, I give you guys some time to think. Have I missed anything that I haven't covered yet?
I don't think so. To be honest, I think you've done a really fucking good job.
All right, appreciate it. What time
did we
start, if you don't mind? Because I've lost the time myself.
We're an hour over.
We're an hour over?
Yeah.
Okay. That's unfortunately, I'm gonna have to count that. Granted, on a normal basis, I do tell you guys, but I'm off my game in terms of sleepiness today, so that's my bad. So just an hour over. But if you have any thoughts, questions in between, just throw them at me if you like figure out something that you missed. Okay, I'm always available for it.
All right, cheers.
Cool.
Awesome. So that, and remind me to go get some of your like Gaming Balance's graphics, because I do this thing on the stream now that I do the whole shiny intro with graphics and the end card as well. So if you can get those from Bex, that would be great.
We have good ones, yeah.
Oh, even better. PogChat. So thank you everyone for watching. That was a decently long one. That was Suck Gaming Valiance, who clearly have no chill, practically the Chengdu Hunters of OC at this point, and just want to temper that. It should be very, very entertaining to watch them grow.
We'll get there. We'll get there.
Over time.
Absolute gods.
Gimme Sly already. Who is this? Val keeps asking me for a widow one. I do not know who this fellow is.
Don't put Sly on Widow, I'll tell you that.
Well, we'll get it.
Rude.
Wait, did you say don't?
True team right there.
I'm actually worse with her.
Yeah, that might fuck us one day. Neither of us can play with her.
You can just switch me on to it, dude. I played so much. Put me on to it. It's fine.
Okay, stream is now off the air. You are free to scream obscenities.
My name is Jeff.
I am definitely gonna go get food now. I will see you guys soon.
Thank you. Thanks for everything.
Cheers, mate.
See you.
All right, ladies, I'm off.
Yeah, dude, I'm about to go to bed. I'm actually really tired.
I'm fucking dead. After Busan, dude, I couldn't process anything. All right, see you guys.
I think we're all mentally boomed after Busan.
Bro, I've accidentally disconnected like 3 times.
Yeah, you're watching you doing that.
All right, see you guys.
Dogs.